Did you ever have the experience of helping someone in need? I'm talking about helping a person who needs financial help. Sometimes it's not easy to reach down into that pocket of yours and pull out some money to give to a poor family who has a great need. Our Bible verse for today is found in the book of Acts, chapter 20, verse 35, which says, "I have showed you all things, how that so laboring ye ought to support the weak, and to remember the words of the Lord Jesus, how he said, it is more blessed to give than to receive." When I read this verse, it brings back a very vivid memory that I had many years ago. When I was a teenager, my father took my brother and me to the circus that had just come to town. So there we were, standing in line to buy tickets to get into that big circus tent, and let me tell you, we were excited. After standing in line for about 15 minutes, finally there was only one family between us and the ticket counter. This family in front of us made a big impression on me. They had 8 kids, all probably under the age of 12, and by the way they were dressed, you could tell that they didn't have a lot of money. Those 8 kids were well behaved, all of them standing in line 2 by 2, holding each other's hands right behind their parents. They were pretty excited too, talking about the clowns, the animals, and all the other acts they were going to be seeing that night. I could tell they had probably never been to a circus before. This was going to be the highlight of their lives. The father and mother were at the head of the pack, standing as proud as could be. I remember the mother was holding her husband's hand, looking up at him as if to say, "You're my knight in shining armor." And I remember the father was smiling and just enjoying being there with his family. The ticket lady finally asked the man how many tickets he wanted. He proudly answered back and said, "I'd like to buy 8 children's tickets and 2 adult tickets, please." When the ticket lady told him the price of the tickets, the man's wife let go of his hand and dropped her head. He leaned a little bit closer and said, "How much did you say?" The ticket lady told him the price again. Apparently the man didn't have that much money. How was he supposed to turn and tell his 8 kids that he didn't have enough money to get into the circus? My father and my brother and I were watching all this play out right in front of us. My dad discreetly reached into his pocket and pulled out a $50 bill and dropped it on the ground. When I saw what he had done, I could hardly believe my eyes because we were not wealthy in any sense of the word. My father bent down, picked up the $50 bill, tapped the man on the shoulder and said, "Excuse me, sir, this just fell out of your pocket." The man knew what was going on. He wasn't begging for a handout, but he certainly appreciated the help in a desperate, embarrassing situation. I remember him looking straight into my dad's eyes, taking my dad's hand in both of his, squeezed tightly onto the $50 bill, and with his lip quivering a little bit, he said, "Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. This means a lot to me and my family." My brother and I and my father went back to the car and drove home. That $50 that my dad gave away was the money we were going to use to buy our own tickets to get into the circus. And although we didn't get to see the circus that night, the 3 of us felt a joy inside that was far greater than seeing the circus could ever provide. That was one of many lessons I remember my dad teaching me. The richest people in the world in God's kingdom are going to be those who share the most. He will give them back more than they can hold. And then there's the story of that poor little widow in the Bible who gave her mite, her meager little penny, which was all that she had. Do you think for a minute God would let her continue in that poverty-stricken condition after that? I'm convinced he poured out his blessings on her after making her one of the greatest examples of giving in all history. And finally, there's the most powerful example of them all, the great giver, Jesus Christ. And for our sakes, he gave away the life he was living. From Christmas Day to Calvary, his greatest joy was giving. And that is our Bible verse for today. Acts chapter 20, verse 35, the words of Jesus Christ, "It is more blessed to give than to receive." Thanks for watching. We look forward to seeing you again tomorrow with another verse for the day.